My name is Sarah Mitchell, and I never thought I'd be the kind of person who gets suspicious of her own family at her father's funeral. I'm 28 years old, a third-grade teacher at Riverside Elementary in our small town of Millbrook, where everybody knows everybody and secrets don't usually stay hidden for long. My life used to be simple. Wake up, teach kids how to read, come home to take care of dad, repeat. But standing here in this suffocating church, wearing this black dress that makes me feel like I'm drowning, everything feels wrong. The smell of lilies makes my stomach turn. Dad always hated lilies. He loved sunflowers, bright, happy, always facing the sun. But Mom insisted on lilies because they're proper for funerals. Just like she insisted on this expensive casket when Dad would have wanted something simple. Just like she insisted on inviting half the town when Dad preferred quiet gatherings. My hands shake as I clutch the tissue that's already soaked through. The tears won't stop coming, but they're not just for Dad anymore. They're for this weird feeling crawling up my spine. This voice in my head screaming that something's terribly wrong. Sarah, honey, come here. Mom's voice cuts through my thoughts. Like ice. She's standing near the back of the church with my brother Marcus, both of them wearing expressions that don't match the occasion. Mom looks relieved, and Marcus keeps checking his phone like he's expecting important news. I walk toward them on unsteady legs. The church floor feels like it's tilting under my feet. Maybe it's grief. Maybe it's the fact that I haven't eaten in 2 days. Or maybe it's because I just noticed Mom and Marcus aren't crying. We need to talk about some urgent matters, Mom whispers, her grip on my arm tighter than necessary. Her fingernails dig into my skin through the fabric. Marcus has been handling everything while you've been ... emotional. We need to get the paperwork sorted immediately. My chest tightens. Paperwork. Dad just died yesterday. Can't this wait until after we bury him? Marcus steps closer, his cologne mixing with the funeral flowers to create a smell that makes me nauseous. Sarah, be practical. There are deadlines for these things. Estate taxes, insurance claims, bank transfers. Dad wouldn't want us to lose money because we waited too long. Something cold spreads through my veins. Bank transfers. What bank transfers? Don't worry about the details, Mom says, her voice taking on that patronizing tone she uses when she thinks I'm being childish. Marcus has his business degree. He understands these complicated financial matters better than we do. The words hit me like a slap. We do. Since when is there a we that doesn't include me and my own family? I've been taking care of Dad for 3 years while Marcus built his career in the city. I'm the one who held Dad's hand during chemo. I'm the one who slept in hospital chairs and learned to operate his oxygen machine. But suddenly, I'm too stupid to understand complicated financial matters. My phone buzzes in my purse. A text from Mrs. Henderson, the sweet old lady who lives next door to our family house. Honey, I saw some strange cars at your house this morning. Men in suits carrying boxes. Just wanted you to know in case your family didn't mention it. The church spins around me. Mom, why were there men at the house this morning? Mom and Marcus exchange a look that lasts half a second too long. Just some legal people, Marcus called. Mom says quickly, nothing for you to worry about. But I am worried. I'm terrified, because the mom I grew up with would never make financial decisions without involving me. The mom I knew always said we were partners after Dad got sick, that we were all each other had. This woman standing in front of me, avoiding my eyes and dismissing my questions, feels like a stranger wearing my mother's face. I want to see the papers Marcus is talking about, I say, surprised by how steady my voice sounds when everything inside me is shaking. Marcus laughs, but it's not a happy sound. Sarah, you're grieving. You're not thinking clearly. Let the adults handle this. Adults. I'm 28 years old. I have a college degree. I've been managing Dad's medical care and our household finances for years. But apparently, I'm not adult enough to understand my own father's estate. The funeral director approaches us, his face wearing that practiced sympathy expression. Mrs. Mitchell, we're ready to begin the service. As we walk toward the front pew, I notice things I missed before. The way Marcus keeps his phone face down but tilted so he can see the screen. The way Mom's purse is bulging with papers. The way they both seem more focused on those papers than on the casket holding the man who raised us during the service. While Pastor Williams talks about Dad's love for family and his dedication to teaching me strong values, I watch my brother. Marcus checks his watch 3 times during the 20-minute service. He shifts in his seat like he can't wait for this to be over. And when the pastor asks if anyone wants to share memories of Dad, Marcus stays silent while I stand up with shaking legs to talk about the man who taught me to ride a bike and helped me with homework every night until I graduated college. The words come out broken and raw. My dad taught me that family means everything. He said, blood makes you related, but loyalty makes you family. He always told me to trust my instincts and never let anyone make me doubt what I know is right. When I sit back down, Mom pats my hand absently, but she's whispering something too. Marcus. I catch fragments. ... Bank opens at 9. ... Transfer needs to be ... double quotes ... before she has time to ... before I have time to what? After the service, as people file past to offer condolences, I feel completely alone despite being surrounded by everyone I've known my whole life. Mrs. Peterson hugs me and says, "Your father was so proud of you, dear. He always bragged about how smart and caring you are." Mr. Garcia, Dad's longtime friend, squeezes my hand and whispers, "If you need anything at all, you call me. Your dad made me promise to look out for you." But when I look around for my family, they're already heading toward the exit, deep in conversation with a man in an expensive suit I don't recognize. That's when I see him. Old Pete, the cemetery groundskeeper, standing by the door with worry written all over his weathered face. He's worked at Millbrook Cemetery for 40 years, buried 3 generations of our neighbors. He knew Dad from their weekly chess games. At the diner, Pete catches my eye and motions toward the side door of the church. My heart pounds as I excuse myself from the receiving line and follow him outside. The October air bites through my thin dress, but Pete's words freeze me colder than any wind ever could. "Miss Sarah," he says, his voice shaking with anger and fear, "I was setting up chairs for the graveside service when I heard your mama and brother talking behind the chapel. They didn't know I was there." He pauses, his hands trembling as he grips his cap. "Honey, they were laughing and talking about how you're too trusting, too emotional to handle what they call business matters. Your brother said something about papers he got you to sign while you were crying over your daddy's hospital bed." The world tilts sideways. Papers I signed. I remember Marcus bringing me documents at the hospital, saying they were just forms to help with Dad's care. I was so exhausted, so scared Dad was dying, that I barely read them. I just signed where Marcus pointed because I trusted him, because he's my brother. "There's more," Pete continues, his voice barely a whisper. "I heard your mama say she'll find out soon enough that her precious daddy left everything to Marcus. Poor girl doesn't know we've been planning this for months. I can't breathe. The black dress feels like it's strangling me. My knees buckle and Pete catches my arm to steady me. "Miss Sarah, I've seen a lot of grief in my years here, but what I heard ... that wasn't grief, that was greed. And I'm afraid they're planning something terrible." Through the church window, I can see Mom and Marcus still talking to the man in the expensive suit. They're shaking hands now, and Marcus has a smile on his face that makes my blood run cold. It's the same smile he wore when we were kids, and he'd convinced me to take the blame for something he'd done. But this time, I'm not a child who can be tricked with candy and promises that everything will be okay. This time, something tells me that nothing will ever be okay again. As I watch my family, my only family, celebrate what looks like a business deal at my father's funeral, I realize that the man in the casket isn't the only one who died today. The Sarah who trusted blindly, who believed family meant safety, who thought love was always pure, she's dying too, and I have no idea what kind of person I'll become without her. The sound of papers rustling wakes me up every morning now, even when the house is completely silent. It's been 2 weeks since we buried Dad, and I can't shake the feeling that I'm living with strangers. I lie in my childhood bed, staring at the ceiling where Dad helped me put up glow-in-the-dark stars when I was 7. And I listen to voices that stop the moment my footsteps hit the creaky floorboard outside my door. Yesterday, I found Mom burning papers in the backyard fire pit. When I asked what they were, she said, "Just old bills," without looking at me. But I saw Dad's handwriting on one of the pages before the flames swallowed it whole. This morning, I wake up to the smell of coffee and something else, expensive cologne that doesn't belong in our kitchen. Marcus has been staying here to help with arrangements, but help with what? Every time I ask, I get the same answer. "Don't worry about it, Sarah. Focus on healing." Healing, like grief, is a broken bone that just needs time to mend. Like losing the only person who truly understood me is something I can just get over. I pull on Dad's old college sweatshirt, the one that still smells like his aftershave and the peppermint candies he always kept in his pocket. The sleeves hang past my fingertips, making me feel like a little girl playing dress-up. Maybe that's how they see me. Maybe that's how I've always been to them. The kitchen conversation stops the moment I appear in the doorway. Mom and Marcus are sitting at the table with another stranger, a woman this time, wearing a sharp business suit and carrying a leather briefcase that probably costs more than I make in a month. "Sarah." Mom's voice is too bright, too cheerful for someone who buried her husband 2 weeks ago. "This is Ms. Rodriguez from the estate planning office. She's helping us organize your father's affairs." Ms. Rodriguez stands and extends a manicured hand. Her grip is firm, professional, but her eyes are cold. "I'm sorry for your loss. Your brother has been very helpful in gathering the necessary documentation." My stomach clenches. What documentation? I thought Dad's will was straightforward. Another one of those looks passes between Mom and Marcus. It's becoming their signature move, these silent conversations that exclude me completely. It is straightforward, Marcus says, but he won't meet my eyes. That's why we're getting everything processed quickly. No need to drag this out and make it more painful than it already is. Ms. Rodriguez opens her briefcase and pulls out a thick folder. I just need to verify a few signatures and we can finalize the transfers. Transfers. That word again, it makes my chest feel tight, like someone's slowly tightening a rope around my ribs. What transfers? I ask, moving closer to the table. Can I see the will? Sarah, honey. Mom reaches across the table and pats my hand like I'm a child who asked too many questions. You're still so emotional. Let Marcus handle the complicated parts. You know how numbers and legal language give you headaches, do they? I've been balancing our household budget for 3 years. I managed all of Dad's insurance claims and medical billing. When did I become too stupid to read my own father's will? My phone buzzes with a text from Jake Morrison, the guidance counselor at school who's been checking on me. How are you holding up coffee later if you need to talk? Jake, sweet, reliable Jake with his warm brown eyes and his way of making me laugh even when everything feels hopeless. We've been growing closer over the past few months, but I've been too focused on Dad's illness to think about what that might mean. Now, the thought of seeing someone who actually listens to me without dismissing my concerns feels like oxygen. I need to get some air, I say, backing toward the door. Jake offered to take me for coffee. That's nice, dear, Mom says absently. Already turning back to Ms. Rodriguez. You deserve some normalcy. Normalcy. As if anything about this situation is normal. I'm reaching for my purse when I hear Ms. Rodriguez say, "The power of attorney documents you mentioned should make this much simpler." I freeze. Power of attorney? What power of attorney? The silence in the kitchen is so thick, I could cut it with a knife. Mom's coffee cup clatters against her saucer. Marcus clears his throat. Just some papers Dad signed when he was sick. Marcus says carefully, standard stuff. Gave me authority to handle finances when he couldn't. My hands start shaking, but Dad was handling his own finances until the day he died. He was writing checks and paying bills right up until his last hospital stay. Sarah. Mom's voice has an edge now, sharper than the sympathy she's been performing. Your father was very sick. He wasn't always thinking clearly. Marcus was just being responsible. Thinking clearly, Dad was sharp as a tack until his final day. He could still beat me at crossword puzzles and remembered every detail of my work stories. The idea that he wasn't capable of managing his own affairs is ridiculous. But looking at these 3 adults sitting around our kitchen table, surrounded by official papers and speaking in hushed tones, I feel like I'm going crazy. Maybe I am emotional. Maybe grief is making me paranoid. Maybe I should trust that my family knows what's best. I'll be back in a couple hours, I mumble, grabbing my keys before anyone can object. Outside, the October air cuts through Dad's sweatshirt, but I don't go back for a jacket. I need to get away from that house, from those strangers wearing my family's faces, from the feeling that I'm slowly drowning in secrets I don't understand. Jake is waiting for me at Rosie's Diner, the same red vinyl booth where Dad and I used to share strawberry milkshakes after my school concerts. Jake stands when he sees me, and something in his expression tells me I look as broken as I feel. Hey, he says softly, pulling me into a hug that smells like soap and safety. You look exhausted. I melt into his arms for just a moment, letting myself remember what it feels like to be held by someone who isn't calculating angles or planning strategies. When I pull back, his eyes are full of concern. I think I'm losing my mind, I whisper, and then the whole story tumbles out. The strange meetings, the papers I can't see, the way my own family treats me, like a child who can't be trusted with adult conversations. Jake listens without interrupting, his jaw getting tighter with every detail. When I finish, he's quiet for a long moment, stirring his coffee with more force than necessary. Sarah, he finally says, you're not losing your mind. You're describing classic manipulation tactics. The words hit me like cold water. That's my family you're talking about? I know. And I know how much you love them. But honey, love doesn't make someone incapable of hurting you. Sometimes it makes it easier. My phone rings. Marcus, I let it go to voicemail, but it immediately starts ringing again. I should probably go, I say. But Jake catches my hand. Promise me something. Don't sign anything else without reading it completely. And if you need help understanding legal documents, ask someone outside your family. A lawyer, a financial advisor, someone who doesn't have a personal stake in the outcome. The drive home feels like swimming through thick mud. Every turn brings me closer to a house that no longer feels safe, to people who no longer feel like family. I'm pulling into our driveway when I notice the for sale sign. It's small, discreet, planted near the mailbox, like it's been there forever. Whitmore, real estate. Call for details. Our house, the house I grew up in, the house where Dad taught me to cook pancakes and helped me with algebra homework, the house where I planned to take care of Mom as she got older, for sale, and nobody told me. I sit in my car, engine running, staring at that sign until the letters blur together. Inside the house, I can see shadows moving past the kitchen window. Mom, Marcus, and Ms. Rodriguez, still conducting their business meeting about my life without bothering to include me. My phone chimes with Marcus's voicemail. Sarah, we need to talk when you get home. There are some papers that need your signature. Tonight, important deadline stuff. Papers, signatures, deadlines. I think about Dad's last words to me. Trust your instincts, baby girl. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Everything feels wrong, but I still get out of the car and walk toward the house, because where else can I go? This is my family. This is all I have left. And maybe if I'm very quiet and very careful, I can figure out what they're really planning before it's too late to stop them. The front door closes behind me with a click that sounds suspiciously like a trap snapping shut. The stack of papers on the kitchen table looks innocent enough. White pages with neat black text. The kind of documents that usually mean nothing more than bureaucratic formalities. But my hands are shaking as I stare at them, and I can't figure out why. It's really very simple, Ms. Rodriguez says, her voice smooth as honey poisoned with arsenic. Just a few signatures to transfer the estate assets into the appropriate accounts. Standard procedure. Marcus slides a gold pen across the table toward me. Dad's pen. The one he used to grade papers for 30 years. The one he let me use to sign my first teaching contract. Seeing it in Marcus's hands feels like watching someone wear Dad's clothes. What exactly am I signing? I ask, reaching for the first document. Mom's single quotes S hand covers mine before I can lift the paper. Sweetheart, you don't need to read every line. Ms. Rodriguez is an expert. She's explained everything to Marcus already. The pressure of Mom's fingers on my hand feels like a warning or a threat. But I'd like to understand what Sarah. Marcus's voice cuts through my words like a blade. We've been over this. Dad left very specific instructions about how he wanted things handled. These documents just make it official. I pull my hand free from Mom's grip and pick up the top page. The legal language swims before my eyes, whereas and heretofore and party of the first part, but certain phrases jump out like they're written in red ink. Hereby transfers all rights, title, and interest. Relinquishes any claim to the aforementioned properties. Grants full authority to Marcus James Mitchell. My throat closes up. This says I'm giving up my inheritance. No, Ms. Rodriguez says quickly. It's just reorganizing the assets for tax purposes, very common in estates of this size. What size? How much money are we talking about? The silence stretches so long I can hear the kitchen clock ticking. Mom and Marcus exchange another one of their looks, and I realize with crystal clarity that they never intended to tell me. Dad left money, I say slowly. And you weren't planning to tell me how much? Sarah, you're getting emotional again, Mom says, but her voice sounds nervous now. Just sign the papers. Trust us. Trust us. The words that have been used to manipulate me for weeks, the words that kept me quiet while they planned and schemed and turned my grief into their opportunity. I stand up so fast my chair scrapes against the floor. I want to see Dad's actual will. The original document. Not these transfer forms, not these reorganization papers. His will. Marcus laughs, but it's not a happy sound. Sarah, this is his will. This is what he wanted. Then why can't I read it myself? Because you're not thinking clearly. The words explode out of Mom with a force that makes me step backward. You're grieving and confused, and you're not capable of making rational decisions right now? The kitchen falls silent except for the sound of my heart pounding in my ears. In that moment, I see my mother clearly for the first time in years. The cold calculation in her eyes, the way her mouth curves in frustration when she doesn't get immediate compliance, the complete absence of maternal warmth. I'm not signing anything, I whispered. Ms. Rodriguez starts gathering the papers with quick, efficient movements. Perhaps we should give Miss Mitchell some time to process. No. Marcus stands, and suddenly he seems much larger than my memory of him. Sarah, you're going to sign these papers tonight. Dad's been dead for 2 weeks. We can't wait forever for you to get your act together. And if I don't, the question hangs in the air like smoke. I watch my brother's face transform into something I don't recognize. Cold, calculating, predatory. Then you'll find out what happens to ungrateful little girls who bite the hand that feeds them. My blood turns to ice water. This isn't my brother talking. This is a stranger who looks like Marcus, but speaks like someone who's been planning this conversation for months. I back toward the door, clutching Dad's car keys in my pocket like a lifeline. I need some air. Don't be dramatic. Mom calls after me, but I'm already moving, my feet carrying me toward the front door before my brain can catch up outside. The October night is crisp and clear, full of stars that Dad taught me to navigate by during our camping trips. But now they just look cold and distant, like everything else in my life. I'm fumbling with the car door when I hear footsteps behind me. Sarah, wait. It's Marcus, his voice softer now, more like the brother I remember. Look, I'm sorry. I know, this is hard. But Dad really did want this. He was worried about you, about your ability to handle financial responsibility. He thought it would be better if I managed things. I turned to face him, searching for some trace of the boy who used to build blanket forts with me and share his Halloween candy. Show me where he wrote that. Show me his handwriting saying he didn't trust me. Marcus reaches into his jacket and pulls out a single sheet of paper. Even in the dim porch light, I can see Dad's careful script. To my son Marcus, I entrust you with the care of our family's future, but something's wrong. The handwriting looks shaky, uncertain. Dad's hands were steady until the day he died. And the signature? The signature looks like someone trying very hard to copy Dad's name. This isn't real, I breathe. Marcus folds the paper and puts it back in his jacket. You're seeing things that aren't there, Sarah? Grief does that to people, but I'm not seeing things. I'm finally seeing, clearly, my family, my mother and brother. The people I've loved and trusted and sacrificed everything for have been planning to steal my inheritance. From the moment Dad took his last breath, maybe longer, and they're not going to stop until they get what they want. I get in Dad's car and drive away, leaving them standing on the porch like actors who've forgotten their lines. In my rearview mirror, I watch Mom and Marcus go back inside, probably to plan their next move. For the first time in my life, I'm grateful Dad taught me to drive stick shift. My hands know what to do, even when my mind is spinning out of control. I don't know where I'm going. I just know I can't go back to that house tonight. Maybe not ever, because the people living there aren't my family anymore. They're strangers who want to destroy me, and they almost convinced me to help them do it. Jake finds me crying in my car outside the school at midnight. I've been sitting here for 3 hours. Engine off, staring at the dark windows of my classroom where everything used to make sense, where I was good at something, where I mattered. He taps gently on the passenger window, and when I unlock the door, he slides in without saying a word, just sits there in the darkness with me, waiting. They forged his signature, I finally whisper. My own brother forged our father's signature. Jake's hand finds mine in the dark. His fingers are warm, steady, everything mine aren't. What are you going to do? I don't know. They're my family, Jake. They're all I have left, are they? His voice is gentle but firm, because family doesn't steal from you. Family doesn't lie to you. Family doesn't make you feel crazy for asking questions. The tears come harder now, ugly sobs that shake my whole body. Jake pulls me against his chest, and I let myself fall apart in his arms because I can't hold it together anymore. My mom looked me in the eye today and told me I was too emotional to think clearly. I gasped between sobs. Like being sad about Dad dying makes me stupid. Like grieving makes me incompetent. That's called gaslighting, Jake says quietly. It's emotional abuse, Sarah. They're making you question your own sanity so you'll stop questioning their actions. The words hit like physical blows. Emotional abuse. My mother. My brother. When I finally stop crying, Jake drives me to his apartment. A small, neat place that smells like coffee and books. Everything the opposite of the tension and secrets suffocating my family home. You can stay here tonight, he says. Or as long as you need. I curl up on his couch, wrapped in a blanket that doesn't smell like lies and manipulation. For the first time in weeks, I sleep without dreaming about papers I can't read and signatures that don't belong to my father. But morning comes anyway. And with it, the phone calls. Mom first. Sarah, where are you? We're worried sick. Come home so we can talk. About this like adults? Then Marcus, Sarah, you're scaring Mom. Stop being selfish and come home. We have important meetings today. Then Mom again. Sarah, I'm calling the police if you don't answer me. You're not thinking clearly. You need help. Help, their favorite word. Like I'm broken and they're the only ones who can fix me. Jake makes me breakfast while I listen to the voicemails. Scrambled eggs and toast, simple and real. No hidden agendas, no secret meanings. They're escalating, he observes, setting a plate in front of me, worried, then angry, then threatening. Classic manipulation pattern. My phone rings again. This time it's a number I don't recognize. Miss Mitchell. This is Dr. Patricia Hendricks from Millbrook Mental Health Services. Your family has expressed some concerns about your recent behavior and emotional state. We'd like to schedule an evaluation. The fork falls from my hand and clatters against the plate. An evaluation? Nothing formal, Just a conversation to make sure you're coping well with your recent loss. Your mother mentioned you've been having some paranoid thoughts about family members, seeing things that aren't there. My blood turns to ice. They're trying to have me declared mentally incompetent. I'll call you back, I manage, and hang up. Jake takes one look at my face and pulls the phone from my trembling hands. What did they say? When I tell him, his jaw clenches so tight I can see the muscles jump. Those bastards. They're trying to get you committed so they can take everything legally? They wouldn't do that. They're my family, Sarah. Jake takes my hands, forcing me to look at him. Your family tried to trick you into signing away your inheritance. They forged your father's signature. They're spreading lies about your mental health to medical professionals. What exactly do you think they wouldn't do? The answer sits in my chest like a stone. Nothing. There's nothing they wouldn't do to get what they want. That afternoon, I finally go home to get some clothes. The house feels like a crime scene. Everything familiar but somehow wrong. Like someone moved all the furniture 2 inches to the left. I'm packing a bag when I hear Mom's voice from downstairs. She's having a complete breakdown. Dr. Hendricks says these paranoid illusions are common in young women under extreme stress. The important thing is getting her stabilized before she does something really crazy. Marcus replies, like trying to contest Dad's will or making wild accusations. I freeze at the top of the stairs. They think I'm not home. They think I can't. Hear them planning my destruction like it's a business meeting. How long before we can have her committed? Mom asks. Dr. Hendricks says if she refuses the voluntary evaluation, we can petition for an involuntary hold, especially with the documentation we've provided about her increasingly erratic behavior. Documentation? They've been building a case against me, collecting evidence of my mental instability while I trusted them completely. I grab my bag and slip out the back door, my heart hammering so hard I'm sure the neighbors can hear it. But as I'm crossing the yard, I see something that stops me. Cold. Mrs. Henderson from next door is watering her garden, but when she sees me, she hurries over to the fence. Sarah, honey, I've been trying to call you. Some men came to your house yesterday with a moving truck. They took out boxes and boxes of your father's things. I thought you should know. My legs nearly give out. Moving truck. Your brother was directing them. He had them load up all your father's papers, his desk, even his filing cabinets. When I asked if everything was all right, he said you were. Well, he said you were having some problems and they needed to secure important documents. They're erasing him, removing every trace of Dad's real wishes, his actual will, any evidence that might contradict their story. Mrs. Henderson, I whisper, if something happens to me, if you hear I've been hospitalized or committed or anything like that, please remember this conversation. Please remember that I was thinking clearly when I told you my family is lying. Her face goes pale. Sarah, what's going on? But I'm already running to my car, my bag clutched against my chest like armor, because I finally understand what's happening here. This isn't just about money. This is about complete and total destruction. They don't just want my inheritance. They want my credibility, my sanity, my freedom. They want to erase me as thoroughly as they're erasing Dad. And they almost convinced me to help them do it, but not anymore. Now I'm going to fight back. The courthouse opens at 8 a.m., but I'm sitting in the parking lot at 7:30, watching my breath fog up the car windows. I haven't slept in 2 days. Every time I close my eyes, I see Mom's face when she talked about having me committed. The casual way she discussed destroying my life, like she was planning a grocery list. Jake tried to convince me to wait, to get a lawyer first, to build a case. But I can feel time running out like sand through my fingers. Every hour I wait is another hour they have to cover their tracks, to build their lies higher and stronger. The courthouse clerk is a tired-looking woman with kind eyes who listens patiently while I explain what I need: copies of my father's original will, death certificate, any documents filed with the probate court. Honey, she says gently, these are public records. You have every right to see them. But I have to tell you, someone else was here yesterday asking for the same documents. My stomach drops. Someone else? A man who said he was your brother? Marcus Mitchell. He seemed very concerned about protecting these documents from, she checks her notes, unauthorized access by unstable family members. They're always one step ahead. Always planning, always preparing for my next move. Can I still see them? She nods and disappears into a back room. When she returns 20 minutes later, her face is troubled. Miss Mitchell, I think you need to see this? She slides a folder across the counter. Inside is my father's will, the real one, signed and witnessed properly. I scan through the legal language with shaking hands until I find the part that matters. To my daughter Sarah Elizabeth Mitchell, I leave the family home and 60% of my estate, knowing she will use these resources wisely and with the generous heart she inherited from her grandmother. 60%. The house, almost everything. There's more, the clerk says quietly. She pulls out another document. This was filed 3 days after your father's death. It's a petition to contest the will, filed by Marcus Mitchell, claiming the deceased was not of sound mind due to medication and illness, and that the primary beneficiary is mentally unstable and incapable of managing inherited assets. The petition includes sworn statements from concerned family members describing my erratic behavior, paranoid delusions, and emotional instability following the deceased's death. They've been planning this since before Dad was even buried. While I was crying over his coffin, they were building legal cases to steal everything he wanted me to have. But the worst part, the part that makes me actually nauseous, is the date on Marcus's petition. It's dated 3 days after Dad died, the same day I signed those hospital forms. Marcus brought me while I was sobbing beside Dad's bed. I wasn't signing forms for Dad's care. I was signing statements that would be used to declare me mentally incompetent. Miss, the clerk's voice seems to come from very far away. Are you all right? I'm not all right. I'm dying inside, piece by piece, as I realize how completely I've been played. I need to make copies of everything, I whisper. She nods and starts the copier. While the machine hums, she leans closer. Honey, I've seen a lot of family disputes in my time here, but this feels different, meaner. If you need help, there are people who can. My phone rings, Marcus. I almost don't answer, but something tells me I need to hear what he has to say, now that I know the truth. Sarah, where the hell are you? His voice is sharp, angry, no more pretending to be the concerned brother. You missed your appointment with Dr. Hendricks. Mom is beside herself with worry. I'm at the courthouse, I say, surprised by how calm my voice sounds. Reading Dad's real will, the silence on the other end stretches so long, I think he might have hung up. When he speaks again, his voice is different. Colder. Sarah, you're making a very big mistake. The only mistake I made was trusting you. You have no idea what you're dealing with. This is bigger than you understand. There are people involved who won't appreciate interference from a crazy little girl having delusions about her inheritance. People involved. What people? Come home, Sarah. Sign the papers, take the settlement we're offering, and walk away. Because if you try to fight this, we will destroy you completely. We'll have you committed, discredited, ruined. No one will believe a word you say. The line goes dead. I stare at the phone, my hands shaking so hard I can barely hold it. Settlement. What settlement? And who are these other people Marcus mentioned? The clerk hands me the copies, her face full of concern. Miss Mitchell, do you have somewhere safe to go? Because if even half of what's in these documents is true, you're in real danger, real danger. From my own family, I drive back to Jake's apartment in a daze, my mind trying to process everything I've learned, but when I turn onto his street, I see a black car parked outside his building. 2 men in suits standing by the entrance. I keep driving. My phone buzzes with a text from Jake. Sarah, don't come home. People here asking questions about you. Your mother told them you're dangerous, unstable. They want to take you for evaluation. I'll find you later. They're hunting me now, using the legal system, using doctors, using whatever tools they can find to corner me. I park behind a gas station and call the one person I can think of who might help. Mr. Garcia, Dad's old friend who promised to look out for me. Sarah, honey, where are you? His voice is warm, concerned. Your family is worried sick. They say you've been acting strange, making wild accusations. My heart sinks. They got to him too. Mr. Garcia, did my dad ever talk to you about his will? About what he wanted to leave me? Well, yes, actually. He mentioned wanting to make sure you were taken care of. But honey, your brother explained that your father changed his mind toward the end. The medication made him confused, you know? Marcus showed me the documents. Marcus showed him documents. Forgeries, lies, fabrications designed to steal my father's true wishes. Mr. Garcia, I'm at the courthouse. I've seen the real will. Dad left me everything and they're trying to steal it. Silence. Then, Sarah, I think you should come home. Let your family help you through this difficult time. Even Dad's best friend doesn't believe me. I hang up and sit in my car behind the gas station, watching normal people live normal lives. Buying coffee, filling their tanks, complaining about traffic. None of them know that somewhere in this ordinary world, a family is systematically destroying one of their own. That's when I see the black car again, driving slowly down the street. Looking for me, I start the engine and drive toward the edge of town, toward the old cemetery where Dad is buried. If I'm going to make my last stand, it might as well be near the only person who ever truly loved me. But as I pull into the cemetery gates, I realize I'm not alone. Marcus's car is already there, parked beside Dad's grave, and he's not alone either. Marcus isn't just standing by Dad's grave, he's digging. My hands freeze on the steering wheel as I watch my brother, the man I've loved my entire life, shovel dirt away from our father's headstone, like he's searching for buried treasure. Two men in expensive suits stand nearby, one of them holding what looks like a metal detector. I park behind a large oak tree and creep closer, my heart hammering against my ribs. The late afternoon sun casts long shadows across the cemetery, making everything look like a scene from a nightmare. It has to be here, I hear Marcus saying, his voice strained with desperation. The old man was paranoid about banks. Toward the end, he buried the safe deposit box key somewhere. Safe deposit box. What's safe deposit box? One of the suited men checks his watch impatiently. Your sister is becoming a problem, Marcus. She's seen too much, knows too much. My clients don't appreciate loose ends. Clients. My blood turns to ice as I realize this isn't just about family greed anymore. Marcus has gotten involved with people who make family betrayal look like a children's game. She won't be a problem much longer. Marcus pants, still digging. The commitment papers are already signed. Dr. Hendricks is a family friend, she declare. Sarah mentally incompetent based on mom's testimony. Once she's institutionalized, she can't contest anything. The second man laughs, a sound that makes my skin crawl. You better hope that works. Because if she starts talking to the wrong people about what she's seen, your whole family is going to have bigger problems than inheritance disputes. I'm backing away, trying to get to my car without being seen. When my foot hits a fallen branch, the crack echoes across the cemetery like a gunshot. All three men turn toward my hiding spot. Sarah. Marcus's voice carries across the graves. Sarah, is that you? I run. My feet pound against the cemetery paths as I sprint toward my car, their voices shouting behind me. Car doors slam. Engines start. I reach my car just as Marcus's sedan comes roaring around the corner, the suited men's black car right behind him. I've never driven so fast in my life, taking corners on two wheels, running red lights, doing everything Dad taught me never to do. But they're still behind me. I pull into the courthouse parking lot just as it's closing, praying that the presence of other people will make them back off. It works. They slow down, keep their distance, but they don't leave. I'm trapped. That's when I see him. Judge William Henderson, the man who's been handling Dad's probate case. Walking to his car with a briefcase and a tired expression, I jump out of my car and run toward him. Judge Henderson, please, I need help. He stops, recognizing me. Miss Mitchell, what's wrong? My family, they're trying to steal my inheritance. They forged documents. They're working with dangerous people. The words tumble out in a panicked rush. Judge Henderson looks past me at the two cars sitting at the edge of the parking lot, their occupants watching us with obvious menace. His expression grows very serious very quickly. Get in my car, he says quietly now. We drive to his office in the courthouse, where he locks the door and closes the blinds before turning to face me. Miss Mitchell, I've been reviewing your father's case, and I have to tell you, there are irregularities that have been bothering me for weeks. He opens his briefcase and pulls out a thick folder. Your father filed his will with this court 6 months before he died. But 3 days after his death, your brother submitted what he claimed was a more recent version. The signatures didn't match. Relief floods through me so powerfully I nearly collapse. Someone believes me. Someone in authority sees what I see. There's more, Judge Henderson continues. I did some digging into the law firm that's representing your brother. They've been investigated multiple times for elder abuse and inheritance fraud. The partners have connections to some very unsavory people who specialize in acquiring assets through questionable means. The pieces fall into place with horrible clarity. Marcus didn't just decide to steal from me on his own. He got involved with criminals who saw our family's grief as an opportunity. Miss Mitchell, Judge Henderson's voice is grave. I believe your life may be in immediate danger. These people don't just steal money, they eliminate obstacles, and you've become an obstacle. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Come home now or face the consequences. You have 1 hour. Judge Henderson sees the message and immediately picks up his phone. I'm calling the police and the FBI. This has crossed the line from civil fraud into criminal conspiracy. But before he can dial, his office door explodes inward. Marcus stands in the doorway, his face twisted with rage and desperation. Behind him are the two suited men, one of them holding something that definitely isn't a briefcase. Sarah, Marcus says, his voice eerily calm. You've caused us a lot of trouble. Judge Henderson steps in front of me. This is a federal courthouse. Son, you're making a very serious mistake. The only mistake was trusting my sister to do the right thing, Marcus replies. Sarah, these gentlemen have invested a lot of money in our family, single quotes, cooperation. They don't appreciate having their investments threatened. One of the suited men checks his watch. We've wasted enough time. The girl knows too much. Clean this up, Marcus, or we'll clean it up for you. That's when Judge Henderson does something I'll never forget as long as I live. He looks at me with tears in his eyes and says, "Sarah, your father came to see me a week before he died. He was worried about your mother and brother. He gave me a letter to give you if anything ever happened to him." He reaches into his desk drawer and pulls out an envelope with my name written in Dad's careful handwriting. He suspected they might try something like this. He wanted you to know the truth about how much he loved you, and he wanted you to have the means to protect yourself. Inside the envelope is a letter and a key. "My dear Sarah," Dad's letter begins. "If you're reading this, then my worst fears have come true. Your mother and brother have forgotten what family really means. The key is for a safe deposit box at First National Bank, Box 247. Inside, you'll find evidence of their previous attempts to manipulate our finances, recordings of conversations where they discussed their plans and enough money to start a new life far away from people who would hurt you for greed." My father knew. He knew what they were capable of, and he protected me even from beyond the grave. Judge Henderson is already on the phone with federal agents. I need immediate assistance. At the courthouse, we have multiple suspects in a conspiracy to commit fraud and possible kidnapping. Marcus lunges toward me, but Judge Henderson blocks his path. "It's over, son. The FBI has been building a case against your associates for months. You're all going to prison." The next few hours blur together like a fever dream. Federal agents arrests Marcus and the suited men led away in handcuffs while my mother screams about family loyalty and how I've destroyed everything. But I'm not destroyed. I'm finally free. 18 months later, I'm sitting in my new classroom, watching third graders discover the magic of reading chapter books for the first time. The morning sun streams through windows that actually open. In a school where teachers are valued and children are loved. Everything Dad dreamed education should be. Everything I never thought I deserved. My wedding ring catches the light as I help Emma sound out a difficult word. Jake and I married 6 months ago in a small ceremony by the lake, surrounded by people who chose to love us rather than people bound to us by blood. Judge Henderson walked me down the aisle, tears streaming down his face as he told me how proud Dad would have been. The settlement from the FBI case gave me more money than I'll ever need. But it's not the money that changed my life, it's learning to trust my own instincts. Learning that real family chooses you, protects you, lifts you up instead of tearing you down. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. For a moment, my old anxiety flares, but then I read it. "Sarah, this is your mother. I've been in therapy for a year now. I understand you may never forgive me, but I want you to know I'm trying to become a person worthy of your love. If you ever want to talk, I'm here." Mom, it's the 15th message she's sent in 6 months. Each one a little more honest, a little less manipulative. Her therapist says she's making real progress, learning to see people as individuals rather than tools for her own agenda. I don't know if I'll ever forgive her completely. Some wounds cut too deep, leave scars that never quite fade. But for the first time, I can read her words without feeling that familiar twist of fear in my stomach. Marcus won't be eligible for parole for another 8 years. His letter, when it finally came, was different from Mom's. No excuses, no justifications, just a simple acknowledgement. I chose greed over love, and I lost everything that mattered. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know that losing you was the worst consequence of my choices. I keep his letter in Dad's old desk drawer, next to the thank you cards from students and the photo from my wedding day. Not because I've forgiven him, but because forgetting the lessons would dishonor everything I survived after school. I drive to the cemetery where Dad rests under a headstone. I chose myself, Thomas Mitchell, beloved father and teacher. He gave his daughter roots to grow and wings to fly. I bring fresh sunflowers today, his favorites, bright and hopeful, always reaching toward the light. "Hey Dad," I say, settling cross-legged on the grass beside his grave. "I wanted to tell you about my new students. There's this little boy, Tommy, who reminds me so much of you. He has trouble reading, but he never gives up. Yesterday, he finished his first chapter book, and the smile on his face, you would have loved it. The afternoon breeze rustles through the trees, and for a moment I can almost hear his voice. I'm proud of you, baby girl. You learned to trust yourself." A car pulls up behind me, and I turn to see Jake getting out with coffee and sandwiches from the diner. This has become our Friday tradition, visiting Dad together, sharing the week's stories, planning for the future. "How are you feeling?" Jake asks, settling beside me on the grass. "Grateful," I say, and I mean it. Sad sometimes, but grateful. We sit in comfortable silence, watching the sun begin its descent toward the horizon. Tomorrow we'll drive to the coast for a weekend getaway. Just the two of us and the endless possibilities that come with loving someone who sees your worth instead of your usefulness. I think about the girl I was 18 months ago, trusting to a fault, desperate for approval, willing to sacrifice her own truth for the illusion of family harmony. She wasn't wrong to love deeply or hope for the best in people, but she needed to learn that real love never asks you to diminish yourself. The hardest lesson of all was learning that some people, even people you love, will choose their worst impulses over their connection to you. That mother's love isn't always unconditional. That family loyalty can become a weapon in the wrong hands. But I also learned that chosen family can heal wounds that blood family creates. That trust once broken can be rebuilt with the right people. That the capacity to love deeply, even when that love isn't returned properly, is a strength, not a weakness. As we pack up to leave, I touch Dad's headstone one more time. "Thank you for protecting me," I whisper. "Thank you for showing me what real love looks like." Jake takes my hand as we walk back to the car, and I feel Dad's presence in the way Jake listens when I speak, supports my dreams, chooses our relationship. Every single day, the drive home takes us past the house where I grew up, now occupied by strangers who've painted the shutters blue and planted roses where Mom's rigid flower beds used to be. I don't feel anger anymore when I see it, just a quiet sadness for what could have been and gratitude for what is. Tonight, Jake and I will cook dinner together in our bright kitchen, grade papers at the table while jazz plays softly in the background, and fall asleep in each other's arms without secrets or schemes or hidden agendas. Between us, simple, honest, real. Everything I thought I had before, but actually lost years ago without realizing it. Everything I found again when I finally learned to trust the voice inside me that whispers, "You deserve better than this." The voice that sounds exactly like Dad's, reminding me that love should feel like coming home, not like walking through a minefield. The voice that saved my life by teaching me the difference between family and people who happen to share your blood. And as we drive toward home, toward the life I built from the ashes of betrayal, I finally understand. Dad's last gift to me. It wasn't the money or the evidence or even the letter, though all of those helped. It was teaching me to value myself enough to walk away from people who didn't. Even when those people shared my name, even when walking away meant walking alone. Because sometimes, walking alone is the first step toward finding the people who will choose to walk beside you for all the right reasons.